I'm ready. Okay. So remember rate of change and slope. Those are synonyms, okay? When we talk about slope, we are describing the steepness of a line, okay? If the slope is bigger, the line is more steep. If the slope is closer to 0, the line is less steep. And then there were the two other options. This slope, which was what? Do you remember? 0, and then a vertical slope. Undefined, yeah, undefined. Undefined. So rate of change means that we are going to compare, oops, and you can type this part if you want, compare two quantities using a ratio. I hope you've seen that word before, hopefully last year, ratio. If not, don't tell me. So this ratio, when we're talking about linear, what's linear mean? Straight line, is called the slope. So when we talk about this rate of change for a straight line, it's called the slope. I agree. He said using the text boxes is way better.
The text boxes are when you try to like spawn one in, it goes like randomly.
If you use the desktop app, it doesn't do that.
Ooh, I might have to get that.
Yeah.
Let me see.
If you can like click it to download while we're working today, but if you eventually open this in the desktop app, the weird thing when you double click to type, it won't do that in the desktop version. A lot easier. Okay. Slope again is written as a ratio, and it is the rise over the run. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how much did we go up and down and how much did we go to the right when we describe our slope. And this is going to be constant for every point on one line. So at one specific line can have multiple points. Every single one of those points will give you the same slope. And we're going to write it as a fraction. Please do not write it as a decimal. In simplest form. Okay, but I want to talk about that. Do not write slope as a mixed number. For example, if your slope is 7/4, you're going to write your slope as 7/4. Do not write it as 1 3/4. Because remember, slope is telling me rise on the top, run on the bottom. So if you wrote 1 3/4, what's your rise? I don't know. Me either. Leave it as a whatever you guys call an improper fraction. I hate that term, but I guess that's what it's called.
Improper is so negative.
Right. And improper sounds like not correct. You can write an improper fraction. It's allowed. I call them fractions greater than 1, but if you want to call it an improper fraction, go for it. When I say simplest form, though, I mean like 8/6. What could we simplify 8/6 to? 4/3. That would be simplest form. Or like 6/2. 3. Yeah, you can make it a whole number. Just don't make it a mixed number. Good. Okay, what do you think the variable that represents slope is? What letter?
M.
It is M. Good.
No,
it wasn't a
slope.
I mean, I'm surprised no one said S, but it's M. Like S for slope. Yeah, but it's M. Okay, we got 4 types of slope. First one, positive. This is what a positive slope would look like.
You know, it actually.
So Enrique, when you read left to right, that line is going which direction? Up. Up, hence positive. So what do you think a negative slope would look like? Down. Good. There are two other types of slope,
0.
0 and undefined. So 0 is going to be our horizontal line. And then vertical line is going to be our undefined.
Wait, I'm switching from text box to.
I know, I'm gonna give y'all a moment for this because I know you have to draw and then type. It's a little bit of a, I'm pretty sure this is the only part of this section will be in our, like this module will be in OneNote. It does the job. It's just not as user friendly as I would like it to be. And I'll give everybody a moment to catch up to that before we start calculating some slopes.
That's great. That's a great one. Oh, this is ooh. Let's switch back to like.
How do you?
If you at the top click draw again and then click on like the mouse button, see that? You're welcome.
Find the slope of each line.
Yep. Okay. So remember, for us to find it's like none, run,
Rise over none.
rise over none.
Oh.
So before we do anything, what type of slope is number 1? Positive, yes, because if we're looking left to right, it's going up. I was nice to you and I put points on this line. I want you to put your mouse on the leftmost point, which is here. We're going to travel to the other point. The first move we can make is either up or down. So to get to the other point, do we need to go up or down? Up. So we're going to draw a line, if you can. You're not going to do this every time, just for the first few. And you are always going to travel to the right. So then we're going to reach that other point by traveling to the right. And our fraction for our slope is going to be on the top, how many points we moved up. Well, we moved up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The denominator is how many points we moved to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7/4 would be the slope. That's it.
That's pretty easy.
Again, you don't need to draw the lines every time. I'm just making it a little extra for the first couple, okay?
I'm probably gonna do that.
That's fine. If you want to do that, I'm cool with it. But some people can just like sit there with their fingers and count up and down right and to the right. So that's fine. All right, number 2, before we do anything, what kind of slope is it?
It's negative.
Negative. So I'm just going to put a negative to remind myself, hey, the answer is negative. And I'm going to start on the leftmost point, which is over here on the corner. So to travel to the other point, do I need to go up or down? Down. So let's go straight down. And then we're going to go all the way to the right. So how many points did we go down?
3.
3. And then count how many points we went to the right.
What's 3 is supposed to be?
9, yeah.
Oh yeah. Quick math.
Woo-hoo. Is that the answer?
No.
Why not? Yeah, we can simplify negative 3/9 to negative 1/3. Both the numerator and denominator, we can divide by 3 to get negative 1/3. Negative 1/3 would be a more accurate answer. All right, 3 and 4 should be the easiest ones.
Oh, 0
0
Let's go down.
and undefined.
and undefined
Question mark.
with a period, undefined. Even with an exclamation point, undefined. So quickly, before we move on, Why are these 0 and undefined? Well, if we looked at number 3, how far up are we traveling from one point to the other? 0. How far to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, what's 0 divided by 4? 0. Okay, what about number 4? How far up are we traveling? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How far to the right? 0. We can't divide by 0. So we call that undefined. If you ask Siri to divide something by 0, she'll tell you why. Okay, it's a pretty funny explanation. Yes. Yes. You cannot take a thing and not divide it by anything. That doesn't make sense. But you can take 0 things and divide it into 4 groups because each group gets 0. Correct. Okay, I'm going to have you do 3 of these on your own. Number 7, and I'll circle them for you. 7, 10, and 12. Before we go on our break, number 7, you should have gone up 4 and right 2. And I would like you to simplify that just to 2 whole number. 10 was negative since it's going down. And it's going down 5 over 1, which you could have simplified to just -5. And then the last one went up 2, right 3, and you couldn't simplify that one at all. It's just 2/3. Okay? But Miss Simpkins, what happens if we don't have a graph?
Oh, there's a formula.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well, what could we do if we don't have a graph?
Make one.
We could make a graph. We're not going to do that. There's a formula to find slope without using a graph. So you'll notice here, we're given the 2 coordinates of the points instead of just the points on the graph. Let me talk you through the formula. Okay, so M equals M for slope, remember. I want you to draw a long fraction bar. They should look familiar because this is what you were using to calculate slope on the little program we did earlier. Okay. On the top of the fraction, you're going to subtract the y values, but there's 2 of them because we have 2 points. So we have to separate them. We're going to call them y2 minus y1. And what I mean by that is the second y minus the first y. That's all that means. I'll label them in just a second. So what do you think is going to be in the denominator? If the y is right, x2 minus x1. And again, I will explain those in just a second. I just want to get the formula down before we do a couple examples. Okay, so this is not necessary, but I'm going to do this for the time being. I'm going to label those 4 numbers. And this is how you're going to label it with the coordinates. Remember, coordinates are x comma y. So this is going to be x1. This is going to be y1 because they're the first x and the first y. This one's going to be x2. And that one's going to be y2 because it's the second x and the second y. All I'm doing is labeling them. And we're going to take all those numbers and we're going to put them where they belong in the formula. So M equals. So what number is y2 from those four options? 1, 1, 4, and 3. 3, good. Minus. What is y1? Because that comes next in the formula. 1. And the denominator is our x's. What is x2? 4. Minus, what's x1? 1. And then all we're gonna do is simplify. Well, what's 3 minus 1? 2. What's 4 minus 1? 3. Our slope is going to be 2/3 for those 2 points. I will tell you the biggest mistake people make on this is putting the x's in the numerator and the y's in the denominator. Make sure that your y's go on top, your x's go on bottom. Make sure your y's go on top, your x's go on bottom. Rise, y over run, x. Rise, up and down, y, run, left and right, x. All right, let's try another one. So I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2, m equals. No, you don't. I'm just doing it to be a little extra so people know what I'm talking about. What's y2?
-2.
Good, -2 minus 4, because that's y1, good. What's x2? 10 minus -2.
Still writing my first name.
What is -2 minus 4? -6. 10 minus -2. What happens when we have that minus negative? It becomes a plus for add. 10 plus 2 would be 12. I hope someone notices something. Ooh, fumble. Yeah, we can simplify it. I can divide the top and the bottom by 6, and that would give me -1 over 2, -1/2. I'm waiting. Yep.
Well, when we put our answer, do we have to put the whole equation?
No, if you just put an answer, I'm cool with it.
All right.
Yeah. Again, like I'm just being a little excessive because some people are like, where'd you get that number? Where'd that number come from? What's y2? So I'm just being a little bit, I'm overdoing it a little bit. We're gonna do one more together and then I'm gonna have you do 2 on your own, okay? Are you good with me to move, Zion? You said wait. Are you sure? All right, let's look at number 5. x1, y1, x2, y2. What number goes first? 9 minus 9. 3 minus 5. Most difficult problem of the day. 9 minus 9. 0 over -2. It doesn't really matter what the denominator is because 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. Awesome. Woohoo. Okay, I would like you, and let me know when you're done, to do 6 and 8. 6 and 8. Okay, so for number 6, you should have had 5 minus 8 over -7. And I had a lot of people do this incorrectly. It should be minus -7. So that's going to end up changing to a plus here. A lot of people answered -14 in the denominator, but remember that changes to plus. So that would be -3 over 0 denominator. Should be over there. We go. It's undefined. And then 8 was -2 minus 13 over 6 minus -4. Again, these change to pluses, plus signs. So it'd be -15 over 10, but that could be simplified to -3 over 2 because they could both be, they're both divisible by 5. Both divisible by 5. Okay, so we're gonna look at some real graphs now. So I want you to turn to page 90. It might actually be 92. I want you to find this graph right here that says miles per hour at the top. Let me know what page that's on. 91, thank you. 91. So we want to find the slope. But Miss Simpkins, there's no points. What am I going to tell you? Make some points. Use whatever 2 points you want. As long as they're on the line, I don't care. Make 2 points that are on this line and find the slope. Y'all go ahead and close your computers for me so I know we're all on the same boat. 90. Appreciate it. Esteban. Yes. Okay. What'd you get?
What I'm getting is negative 15 and 2.
Okay, so on the bottom, you got to do 6 minus negative 4. I think you just did 6 minus 4. Is that it? Okay. So Miss Simpkins is going to choose this point and this one. It does not matter which 2 you choose. We should all end up with the same answer. So I'm going to go up and to the right. How many did I go up? Okay.
Oh, wait, no, I was doing my own graph.
You're good. Not 4. Look at the scale of the graph. I went from 100 to 300. 200. How much did I move to the right? Yours may be a little bit different. I'm saying for my graph. 4. Well, what's 200 divided by 4? Close. 50. 50. So no matter which 2 points you choose, you should end up with a simplest answer of 50. Even if I did this point to this point, I went up 100 and right 2. Well, what's 100 divided by 2? Still 50. All of those points should still simplest form give you 50. Now, what is that 50 talking about? What's this graph talking about? 50, are y'all cool with me saying MPH? Y'all know what MPH is? Miles per hour. Okay, 50 miles per hour. All right, let's try another graph. Now, I'm going to be very specific about this graph. Do not use this point and this point. Why not? They're not exact. Now, you probably could tell that they're 3 and 9, but do I know for sure? No. I know for sure that this point is 2, 6, and this point is 4, 12. The other 2, I'm not positive. So only use the points that you for sure know are there. So we're going to go up and right. How many did I travel up? Ooh, good, Bryce. 6. Look at the scale. So I went from 6 to 12, which is 6. And then how many to the right? 2. And I can simplify that to 3. Yes. Part B is saying, what does it represent? So what does it mean for this graph? Look at the labels of the graph. So what is this 3 telling me? Yeah, Thor. And souvenirs per day. So 3 souvenirs per day. And until this morning, I did not know that's how you spelled souvenir. It looks like souvenir. Okay, I want you to go to the try it. I want you to do the A and B on the try it, and then we'll do the beat the test question together. So try the A and B on the try it. I'm going to read the problem. It says, Sarah's parents give her a $100 allowance at the beginning of each month. That's nice. I didn't get allowance. Sarah spends her allowance on comic books. The graph below represents the amount of money Sarah spent on comic books last month. So you're finding the slope and then telling me what the slope is representing, okay? So okay, so I'm gonna pick this point and this one, no rhyme or reason, just because I feel like it. So I'm going from 90 to 60. So that's dropping by 30 negative. And I'm going from 2 to 8. So that's a difference of 6. Well, what's negative 30 divided by 6? Negative 5. So your slope was negative 5, and you should have gotten that no matter what points you used. Okay. What does this talking about though? So what is the negative 5 telling me? So Sarah's buying comic books, right? Yes. Yeah, she's spending $5 per comic book. Spending. Why is it negative?
Because you're spending it.
Yeah, she's spending it. She's giving her money to somebody for a comic book. All right, let's look at the beat the test question. So a cleaning service cleans many apartments each day. The following table shows the number of hours the cleaners spend cleaning and the number of apartments they clean during that time. So after 1 hour, they've cleaned 2. After 2 hours, they've cleaned 4. 3 hours, 6. 4 hours, 8, and so on. So our y-axis is going to be apartments. And our x-axis is going to be hours. You can label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go by 1, so it's not really necessary to label because we know that it's going by ones. So after 0 hours, how many apartments have they cleaned? 0. So we should have a point at 0, 0. After 1 hour, how many apartments have they cleaned? Look at the table.
Oh, wait, 2, my bad.
2, yeah, you're good. So we should have a point at 1, 2. After 2 hours, 2, 4, good. After 3 hours, they've cleaned 6. And then after 4 hours, they've cleaned 8. If I were to keep going, after 5 hours, 10. After 100 hours, 200, yeah, 200. Multiply by 2, good. On the next page, there's 2 multiple choice questions about this graph. So when you're ready, after you've graphed it, we'll look at those. So what does the slope represent? Does it represent the number of apartments after 1 hour, the number of hours it took to clean one apartment, the number of apartments cleaned each hour, or the number of apartments cleaned before the company started? C, correct, yeah. So my slope here represents the amount of apartments cleaned each hour. And then part C, we haven't really talked about equations yet as far as y and x, but think about it. What are we doing to the x value to get the y value? We're multiplying it by 2. Yeah, 1 hour, 2 apartments, 2 hours, 4 apartments, 3 hours, 6 apartments. So the only one that makes sense would be C. That's the only one that would make sense, okay?